So set 6 of 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. And where we left it off is Junpei and June just getting into the elevator to go to the lower levels where they think it's flooded, but the elevator doesn't come back up wet. So they just got in, and then it said, then suddenly. So let's find out what suddenly happened. So I'm gonna go down and check it out. Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket. Stay here, alright? But come on, just do it, alright? He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze, then hopped onto the elevator. He pushed the E button and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she was trying to make a decision, when suddenly... I'm coming with you. Huh? At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors. Junpei jammed his finger against the open button, but it was too late. The door had shut. He and June were in the elevator, and it was headed down to E. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on E deck. The elevator stopped, and the door slid open. Oh, this doesn't look pretty. They stepped off onto the floor outside the elevator. Nothing seemed especially unusual. No fish going about their fishy business or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish, or at least something very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out and her mouth a tiny intense frown. Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part isn't flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here. June looked around nervously, then... Ah! Exhaled. You're right. It's not flooded at all. See? But there's a whole lot of water. Yeah, right on top of us. What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks? Junpei thought about that for a moment. Well, we'll probably get really wet up there. Huh? At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around here. Lotus and Santa might already be back. Okay, good idea. Oh, I forgot where they went. Was there 2 doors? Like, one of them decided to use... Ah, yeah, that was it. One of them decided to use one key, and we used the other one. Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one. Well, we can't go over there. Right. Then perhaps... In the corner of the room that housed the elevator, Junpei found an opening. He walked up to it and stuck his head around the corner. Oh, door number 6. A long straight hallway stretched out in front of him. That door at the end of the hallway, there's something written on it. Yeah, let's go have a look. Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6. I knew it. This is a number door. And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door. Of course, with only 2 people, there wasn't much they could do with it. Alright, let's head back. Yes. Junpei and June turned and headed back to C deck. On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall. As it turned out, it was a burnt map of the ship's interior for E deck. Huh? So you guys found door number 1? They'd met back up with Santa and Lotus, who had explained what they'd found. Apparently there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that was the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door. All told, they discovered 2 new doors. The 6th door, and the 1 door. It is interesting that E deck wasn't flooded. Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought. Well, we don't really know if all of E deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator. Even so, it's still very interesting. You said the number 6 door was there, right? Yes. Did that mean Zero planned all this out, even the sinking? That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior. pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Yeah, I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost. It would have been a ton, that's for sure. Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organisation with access to a whole lot of cash. Yes, it does make sense. It does make sense. That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked his stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing. I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here. June looked up at Junpei with large pleading eyes. Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already. Well, June, Junpei and I should be able to open door number 1. Huh? You guys leaving me behind? 8 plus 6 and 5 is 19. 1 and 9 is 10. 1 and 0 is 1. Just kidding. Alright, let's go. Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. I wonder where Snake is. They haven't found him yet, have they? Or did they? I can't remember. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room. Hey! Where the hell did you guys go? It was 7. Ace was right behind him, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back. No, I'm pretty sure they haven't found Snake yet. It looked as though there was something strange about them. 7 had the look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was only moments from passing out entirely. For a long moment they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at 7. What happened? What the hell kind of question is that? 7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him, hard. His shoulders were trembling and his voice was strained. God, what the hell happened? Snake is... Oh, 7 couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by Junpei. Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes and spoke. Snake is... dead. He died, just as the 9th man did. Oh. How does he get through a door, though? Like it was just him. It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. This music, though. He could feel the cold sweat beating on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt. All 3 were frozen in place, their faces white. Oh my god, that's not true, is it? We should make sure. Yeah, right, we should. They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door. Wait! Not that way. They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at the door with no number. Yes, I stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way. Where is he? The shower room on the left side of the hall. Oh. For some reason, just saying the shower room has really filled me with chills, and this music's not helping. It's getting really dark in here. I put a broom in there too, to keep the door open. We can get in without going through the numbered door, right? Yeah, that's right. Their new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. Oh boy. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall. It hadn't been open when they'd been through before. But now, just as 7 had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open. They looked at it for a moment, then stepped inside. It smells horrible. Lotus wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pinched his nose shut. Yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke. It was just as bad as they said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. It worked its way